Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Dataiku London Summit. How are we feeling? Thank you. Good to hear. So this is actually Dataiku's flagship UK event, and we're so happy that you could be here today. So thank you very much for joining. Those of you who were here last year will remember that we suffered the curse of the tube strikes. So we are back with a vengeance in 2025. Can I just get another round of applause for surviving that this year? We're super relieved. So, as you can see, my name is Ellie. Hello. I will be your guide this morning to the who, the what, and the why. Normally, though, I head up our business development team at Dataiku for Northern Europe, and that means that I lead an amazing team of people who did their very best to get you to attend the event today. They'll be dotted around, so make sure you do say hello. But for those of you who don't work at Dataiku, what that job means is that I speak to data leaders for a living and have done so now for the past 3.5 years. So I'm super excited to bring to you guys what it is that we are hearing from the field. So why are we here? Well, to answer that question, I'm going to do that classic salesperson thing and ask you a question right back. So I'm going to ask you a few questions and get you to put your hands up if you've done one of these things. So first up, hands up if you have built a machine learning model. Okay, good. Okay. Who here has got more than 10 ML models in production in their organization today? Okay, a few less, but a good amount. I'm sure you see where this is going. And finally, who here has actually taken that next step, built an agent, has agents in production today as well? Okay, good. Nice to see the speakers at the front. Okay, perfect. Well, no matter where you are in that journey, you're in the right place because Dataiku is here to take you from chaos to control. But what does chaos actually mean? You'll see it all over the venue today and on your badges as well. But to answer that question, Dataiku actually did a survey report of over 800 global data leaders. And off the back of that, we found some really interesting stats, which I'm going to share with you. So first up, whilst AI systems are used extensively, only 1 in 5 data leaders always require AI to show its work. Secondly, 6 in 10 trust AI over their own leadership for analyzing data and generating forecasts. And finally, 3 in 4 say actually their company's AI strategy is driven more by technological trends than business outcomes. Sound familiar? Well, you're in the right place because this is where Dataiku comes in. We help you unpick the how of agentic AI by looking at your people, your data, and your technology investments. You can unlock agentic creation for everyone, not just a small few. You can benefit from the best technology of today and of tomorrow in a single centralized platform that is actually end-to-end. AI and agents are the shiny end goal, for sure, but how can we stop talking about them and actually make them do something tangible for our business, for our employees, and for our customers as well? We're going to learn all about that in a moment with some amazing speakers, so I'm not going to steal their thunder, but before I get into that, let's have a look at what to expect from today. Cool, so this is the agenda. I don't expect you to remember all of this, and if you forget everything I'm about to say, you'll notice on the chair in front of you there are some QR codes, so you can have a scan of those. You can also scan it on your badge, and that will tell you where to go and when, and more interestingly, you can also swap some feedback for some swag as well. So this morning's sessions will be here in this room, so don't go anywhere. Then this afternoon, we're going to break out into 2 different rooms. One is here. The next one is going to be just outside here. So have a look at the agenda and basically see which one works best for you this afternoon. But a little hint from me, make sure you don't miss Aviva's session this afternoon on this stage right here. Cool. So with that out of the way, hopefully I'm not standing in the way. With that out of the way, I'm really excited to introduce the next session. It's one that's I'm personally really excited for. The last 6 months in particular, I've heard so many data leaders talking about how their agentic pilots are not scaling, and it's leading to more complexity than value. So we are going to hear from Nick in just a moment. Remember when I talked about chaos to control? Well, Nick is going to dive headfirst into that chaos, from governance to integration, and a few exciting Dataiku product updates as well. Thanks very much. Join me in welcoming Nick to the stage.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ellie. Good morning, Shoreditch. Thank you for braving the weather wherever you've come in from this morning. I want to use this presentation to really give you 2 things. First of all, a story of now, and then a story of what comes next. So first, let's all take a collective breath, take stock of where we are in this exact moment. Now, if you follow AI news, and I'm sure many of you do, the hype cycle drum is beating faster than ever. We really need a moment to level set of where we are. And second, I want to share with you all a vision for really what comes next and what needs to be built to make that vision a reality. First of all, some intros. I'm standing in the way of my own head. My name's Nick Jewell. I'm part of the team here at Dataiku in London. A little bit about me. I'm a data scientist turned analytics geek, former grumpy enterprise architect, now a very happy, shiny evangelist to talk about everything related to data and AI. This means that I've done things in my career like working with the team that did the early chemical modeling for Viagra, fun times, all the way through to talking to Billy Beane about Moneyball in sports. So my lesson for you all, my career advice is do what you love in the world of data. Now I want to start with the now. The feeling that AI agents are kind of everywhere. There's announcements flooding the wire for what seems like all the time. Even this week, we've had OpenAI talking about its new AI browser, Atlas. The news feels never ending. And basically, this creates a problem where it's fueling a lot of confusion in the market as to what agents are actually for. What can be done with them? How can we use them in our organizations to really drive value? So I want to start off and talk about what actually is an AI agent. So first of all, we can think of it as maybe a spectrum of maturity. From the first stage, over here on the left-hand side, simple LLM-based chatbots, through to more advanced autonomous systems. Now, the big difference between Gen AI of 2024, your grandfather's AI, all the way through to agents of 2025, is that agents take actions to support complex workflows. It's no longer just about answering simple questions. And already, we're seeing folks be wildly successful over here in this first stage. Over 1,000 Gen AI use cases documented at this point. And the major challenge now facing teams who are focused on redefining enterprise AI isn't just building agents, it's how to scale them effectively. Now, the good news? Well, building a single agent is relatively straightforward. Many organizations, hopefully many of you in this room, are already experimenting with isolated agents. Maybe they're automating single tasks, maybe they're streamlining decision-making. Technology stacks starting to mature. It's actually really easy to get started with off-the-shelf models, and those pesky open-source libraries now becoming more stable. But there is bad news as well. As more agents start to get introduced, we start to see what I call the LLM mess. And this is really a complex, tangled web of dependencies between agents and applications, API endpoints, you've got LLM services, structured data, unstructured data, and much, much more. So what started off as a really well-intentioned automation effort really quickly spirals into this chaotic ecosystem where agents start to interact in quite unpredictable ways. And data flows, well, they become very difficult to trace. Debugging, frankly, becomes a nightmare, and your governance concerns will start to multiply. So while we firmly believe that agents are a game changer, the real challenge is how we start to deploy them at scale without creating a system that's impossible to manage. So without a structured approach, we risk unreliable performance, we risk compliance failures, we risk potentially spiraling costs, all common topics that we'll hear about in today's sessions. But let's remind ourselves of really what makes that agent different from what's come before. AI applications to this point primarily produce content. Could be text, could be images, could be code, could be music, many more things besides, all based on prompts. AI agents really go beyond this idea of generation, starting to take that meaningful action, incorporating memory, incorporating reasoning, goal setting, adaptability, and meaningful actions mean things like data ingestion, data preparation capabilities. It could be SQL or Python code generation, maybe the ability to call a predictive model to take a meaningful next step. And you know what? There's no shortage of opportunities to actually apply AI agents, but we really need to think about what the agents are expected to do. Several examples for you on the screen. Agents could be used, of course, to automate processes. This might be one of the benefits of things like cost reduction. You know, I'm running a support team. Automation is going to enable me to solve more tickets without growing my existing team's headcount. It could be employee augmentation, another lane of use cases. And your benefit here is really productivity. Agents helping subject matter experts make better decisions faster. Finally, over to the right-hand side, intelligent business chains, maybe designing whole new ways for our business to operate, ultimately driving new revenues. So how do we make AI accessible to the right people in your organizations? I'm going to show you a few drivers, and the first of those drivers really is democratization. Not just about access, about ensuring that technical and business users can come together and collaborate effectively. To scale, we've got to balance the needs of these two critical groups. And you know what? Traditionally, they don't always share the same priorities. Data experts, over here on the left-hand side, they need tools that help them reduce the time to deployment, making it easier to deliver new use cases. The models they build, they have to be explainable to non-technical stakeholders. That could be your boss, could be an auditor, could be a regulator. There's also a strong need, here's me with my enterprise architecture hat back on, to make those AI solutions fit into existing enterprise tech stacks. Meanwhile, over on the right-hand side, for business teams, there's much more focus on collaboration, even autonomy, the ability to get the job done without a heavy reliance on a data scientist. There's a need, of course, to break down traditional silos with strong data access capabilities. We've also got to balance that with governance and compliance so that we don't introduce new risks. And maybe, most important of all, the ability to scale actually demands reusability. So offering pre-built templates or models can really accelerate AI adoption without reinventing the wheel. So I want to double-click. Let's go deeper on that idea of acceleration, because many initiatives fail because they simply take too long to go from idea through to impact. The faster an organization can test, can refine, can deploy AI, the more value that it's going to deliver from its data and tech investments. And typically, we see that AI value chain breaking down into 4 main components. Since all AI projects start with data, we talk about reliable collection, standardization, governance, all critical parts. Data preparation and pre-processing make sure that that data is refined and ready for next steps around model building. This, of course, could be traditional machine learning. It's been around for a long time. But it could also be character recognition from images or video frames, prompt engineering, and much, much more. And once you've built those models, they need to be integrated into real-world applications, whether that is a simple dashboard, a chatbot, or embedded into real-time interactive web applications. So having this strong AI pipeline means that enterprise teams like yours can move from concept through to execution without delays. And organizations that scale this kind of AI, they're not just building great models, they're not just building amazing apps, they're actually building really great AI processes. Processes that ensure that models, of course, not only get deployed successfully to production, but also ensures that sign-off, that deployment, that monitoring, that version control are all first-class citizens in this process. And I think, crucially, that the process itself isn't just treated as a one and done. I throw the model into production, forget about it, and walk away. Enterprise AI really means a standardized approach that can scale without risk. So, we've discussed democratization, how to accelerate your initiatives. One final driver is the human element. Trust. Organizations need confidence that AI applications are reliable, they're explainable, they're also aligned to business goals. Without trust, AI adoption is guaranteed to stall. And we're seeing executives pretty much at every level become deeply concerned about AI governance, and this is for a very good reason. You've got models handling sensitive data. You've got a lack of visibility into how responses or decisions get made. That could expose organizations to serious compliance risks. Also, maybe perhaps different from traditional IT systems, AI can introduce dynamic, evolving risks. You've got everything from unintentional data leaks, you've got hallucinations, model drift, biased outputs. I could go on. Other sessions today will take it forward. But without a governance framework in place, AI quickly becomes a liability instead of an asset. And for many of our customers, that idea of AI governance forms the cornerstone of what we like to call trusted AI. You've got AI governance giving you that framework for aligning your initiatives to your business goals. Supporting this is the backbone of AI, traditional ML ops, enabling smooth, automated, systematic deployment of models into different environments. Responsible AI, well, that's all about safeguarding against bias. It's about ensuring you've got explainability in your models, even promoting accountability as your platform starts to serve wider audiences or more diverse use cases. So organizations that prioritize the delivery of this trusted AI are going to be the ones that scale AI most successfully. Now, you might be thinking, Nick, this all sounds a bit marketing, a bit fluffy. Well, let me put my enterprise architecture hat back on. If these are all fluffy terms, I can turn them into real technical capabilities. These are things we need to invest as part of our modern data and AI stack. We've got policies, we've got customizable workflows for our governance teams. We've got streamlined tracking of data and AI assets across your organization. We've got documentation about both the risks and the rewards of each AI investment that you measure in your portfolio. This could be at the ground level, the individual model. It could be at the wider business initiative, the process or the function level. And then finally, down here at the bottom, this idea of an AI control tower that keeps your in-house, your third-party projects governed and integrated with your enterprise systems. So putting these kinds of controls in place enables customers like yourselves to rapidly evolve their capabilities from experimentation to expansion, all the way through to full-scale adoption. Very quick story for you from one of our customers. So they started off quite humbly, about 40 users using core Gen AI capabilities to analyze unstructured data with prompt engineering. They moved very quickly into RAG-based chatbots, serving hundreds of users, and this took just 6 months. And from there, starting to develop the capabilities to enhance these chatbots with agentic logic, the ability to use internal data, to use predictive tools safely within their environment, to address a wider range of business opportunities, everything from inventory management through to assortment planning, but crucially now scaling to thousands of users on a global basis. So that is the road to now. But what comes next? Well, I'd like to say that there's a growing belief that we are on the absolute brink of solving some of the most expensive, some of the most persistent headaches in modern business. And I want you all to think for a moment about some of the challenges that we've just accepted as the cost of doing business. So for example, we've got global banks burning millions of hours simply to make sure that their numbers add up and reconcile at the end of every day. We've got manufacturers wrestling with supply chains that are so fragile that a single disruption could bring production to a grinding halt. And then life-saving pharmaceutical companies navigating basically mountains of paperwork that have become so deep and so high that the cost of compliance now rivals the cost of R&D. So solving these kinds of challenges has become the ultimate test for enterprise AI. At Dataiku, our mission is to provide the tools, the platform to pass that test. So we sat down with just a few of our customers to map out some of these billion-dollar processes. And what you uncover almost immediately is it's not a clean, linear workflow. In fact, it's a sprawling, tangled web. It's chaotic legacy workflows that end up colliding with manual decisions, all stitched together with these kind of brittle business rules. Layered on top of that, we've got existing ML models, we've got human expertise, and now, running through the door, some of our generative experiments starting to make their way onto that map. And when I put this on the screen, first of all, the reaction is no one's taking a photo. Actually, someone's taking a photo. That's amazing. Usually it's a gut reaction. Nick, this is a nightmare. Where would we even begin? And you know what? Right on cue, just when that complexity feels overwhelming, your data leaders are starting to get tightness in their chests, you get a tap on the shoulder, and someone leans in, someone promises to you with a whisper, a silver bullet, an easy fix. And today, that silver bullet, of course, has a new name, agents. From the camp, I think, that pushes agentic hype, we're being offered several magical answers that promise to make all of that messy reality just disappear. Magic answers like, All you need is self-organizing agents, plus a little bit of reasoning, plus a little sprinkle of MCP, Model Context Protocol, the magic glue that holds all of our services together. And it just works, right? Well, maybe. We've got magic answer number 2. I like to call this one, just add data. And the premise here is really simple. Just unlock your company's fire hose. Just pour everything in. All of your structured data from your databases, your unstructured PDFs, dredge out all of that documentation in that SharePoint you thought you'd turned off, feed it all into the model, just let it go. And through the magic of techniques like reinforcement learning, it'll simply absorb this ocean of knowledge and then auto-magically become this expert in your business. And again, problem solved, right? Now, the third magic answer, this might be the most seductive of them all, the promise that you can just put a chatbot on it. Give it a conversational interface, boom, all of that entire tangled web of complexity just vanishes. Now, this is where my background as a data scientist and as a grumpy architect really kicks in, because my entire discipline is based on a single powerful assumption. There is no magic. Sorry, folks. So I want to take the next couple of minutes, peel back the curtain, and tell you why these magic answers actually fail and what it really takes to make it right. So first of all, reasoning models, agent-to-agent communication protocols are a genuine breakthrough. They are going to unlock incredible value. At Dataiku, we're firm believers in their power. But, and this is the critical part, in a real-world enterprise environment, a brilliant conversation between two agents is just not enough. Because what happens if one of them is wrong? Where are the checks and balances? Where is your human feedback loop? Where's the central control to ensure that they operate not just with intelligence, but reliably and safely? I think what's missing from all the hype is the single most important word for making this work at scale: orchestration. You need concrete, auditable orchestration of these powerful new systems. Second, let's tackle the idea that an AI can just read its way to expertise. You know, it's a powerful concept. You feed an AI your documentation, you give it examples, let it cook, baby. But again, techniques like reinforcement learning can make this better over time. But there is that magical thinking, and the magical thinking will collide with a messy reality. The modern enterprise is in a state of constant, relentless change. So if you're a bank, regulations can shift overnight. If you're a manufacturer, your supply chain is probably in a state of permanent flux. Nothing stays still. And honestly, let's be honest about the state of documentation in our organizations. In the real world, some of it is ambiguous at best. Often, the real process isn't even written down. It just resides in the heads of your most experienced people. So even if you could capture this perfect snapshot at a moment in time, it would be obsolete within a month. You can't just do a one-time data dump, call it a day, mission accomplished. This really is a living system, not a static library. So what's missing in this picture is the engine for controlled, continuous change. You need a robust adaptation engine to manage that reality. Finally, we come to my personal favorite piece of magical thinking, the idea we can solve everything with a chatbot, the belief that because the conversational interface is so simple, the underlying business complexity will also somehow become simple. And I think this fundamentally misunderstands the future not only of our work, but also of our jobs. You know, as AI starts to take over transactional work, our roles undergo a massive shift. We are no longer the operators of levers within the system. We become the supervisors of the system. So our job is to manage, to inspect, to govern these powerful AI engines. And just ask yourself, do we fly a plane from a chat window? Do we manage a power grid with a text message? Of course we don't. To fly a plane, you need a cockpit. To manage a power grid, you need a control room. You need dedicated visual interfaces that are purpose-built for the task at hand to make controlled decisions. So what's missing, I think, from the chatbot hype is the need for an interface that's tailored to the critical human task of management. So if we cut through the magic and the hype, what are the building blocks that solve these kinds of billion-dollar problems? And you know what? The truth is, it comes down to 3 mission-critical capabilities. First of all, we need more than clever conversations. We need robust, adaptable orchestration, you'll hear that word a lot today, to manage how these systems work together safely. Second, you can't rely on a static snapshot of knowledge. You need a powerful adaptation engine so that your AI can evolve in real time with the pace of your business. And then finally, you need more than a chat window. You need tailored interfaces to give your human experts the cockpit they need for true command and control. Notice, these are not features in Dataiku. These are foundational pillars that turn a promising AI experiment into a governed, enterprise-ready grade system for the future. So that brings us to the fundamental question. How do we actually build this? Do we really reinvent the wheel and build these core capabilities for every new AI project? And you know what? This is a classic software engineering challenge. Historically, the industry has tackled it from one of two camps. So first of all, we've got the walled gardens, the CRMs, the ERPs, massive self-contained systems, very, very powerful, but they are basically silos. They are the table stakes for running a business, not the engine for competitive advantage. On the other end of the spectrum, where companies do innovate and they do differentiate, a much smarter pattern has emerged. We can call this the layered stack. And this is really where we standardized. We all agreed on a compute layer. Thank you very much, cloud. We built a data layer on top of that, leveraging the power below. So to deliver orchestration, adaptation, control at scale, we need to take that next logical step in the stack. And you know what? Right now, this is the big missing piece of the modern enterprise. We've got a dedicated layer for AI, sitting on top of compute, sitting on top of data, serving as that foundation for governed agentic capabilities. So what are we going to call this mission-critical new layer? Well, we could call it an intelligence layer. It's kind of been done. It's a bit broad, not quite right. And I want to be real. Intelligence is a very loaded word. It's made up of many things. We've got creativity and social and emotional intelligence, very much human qualities. Then you've got the intelligence of language and vision. And you know what? In 2025, these are kind of solved problems. We have foundation models that do this as well as, if not better than us right now. Maybe it's a decision layer, closer, still a bit narrow, because you look at these massive enterprise processes, and it's never just about a single isolated decision. It's about the entire process that comes before it. So I'll ask you all, when you have a complex problem these days, who do you turn to? Come on, be honest. You turn to your go-to expert, ChatGPT. And when that model gets a complex problem, what's the very first fundamental step that it takes before it writes a word? It's not retrieving data. It's not just making a decision. It is reasoning. And here's our core belief for what comes next. The most competitive enterprises will consciously build out their reasoning layer with the same discipline that once applied to compute and data. They'll build it from a diverse range of building blocks. This gets me and my architecture brain very happy. Everything from traditional business rules and machine learning models all the way through to the latest generative agents. The job of this layer is going to be to deliver on those mission-critical capabilities that we've discussed, to seamlessly orchestrate, to continuously adapt, and to provide tailored oversight. Now, if this architecture vision kind of sounds familiar to anybody that knows our work, well, it should. This isn't a new idea for us. This is the very foundation that we've been building at Dataiku for the past decade. So I want to leave you with a really clear three-part vision for how we see the next chapter of enterprise AI evolving. First of all, the conversation is about to shift. We move beyond using AI for incremental productivity gains. We start applying it to the very core, mission-critical processes that run our business. Second, to make that leap, the enterprise will need a new architecture foundation. They'll need to build with discipline, with intent, that dedicated reasoning layer for the creation and the control of these powerful AI systems. And then finally, this isn't a distant 5-year plan. This is happening right now. We are building these capabilities to accelerate this new era of AI hand in hand with our most innovative partners and you, our customers and prospects. So this journey to governed agentic enterprise has already begun. We can't wait to build it with you. But I want to say right now, I'm very excited to hand over to Matt Galloway to show you some of our latest and greatest in action. So thank you so much. Enjoy the sessions today at Summit.